November 19th. Meeting of the county commission will come to order. We will be, all five commissioners are present, each is on Zoom. We will start with the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the approval of prior minutes. Do I have a motion or any questions?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ross, second by Commissioner Hagan to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. The next item is the approval of the order of agenda. Any motions to change the agenda today? Commissioner Hagan.
Debbie, we needed to add the sale date to December 17th. Do you want that on there? Or sure, that would be awesome. But the sale date, we couldn't do it today at 2 o'clock, but do it December 17th at 2 o'clock. Yeah. Okay.
All right. And is it the motion? Awesome. Is that,
Sure.
you're gonna just take that item off the agenda and move it to the 17th of December?
Yes, that's
All right.
what I thought I was supposed to do.
We have that motion second. I'll second. Commissioner Rusted. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Yeah. Then the consent agenda, are there any items? Well, first of all, it's covers bills, employee status changes, the October financial report, a county deed, overtime, and a beer and liquor license. Are there any questions, or would anyone like to have anything pulled to look at before we?
I just have a question on the beer and liquor license, if that's something that's been reviewed by the sheriff?
Yeah.
Okay,
No concerns.
No concerns? All right,
that's it.
all right.
I make a motion to approve. Thanks.
Commissioner Ross,
Second.
Commissioner Rusted, second, all in favor of this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Brady Martins.
All right, good afternoon. Debbie asked that I cut this down to a couple hours, so we'll see what I can do.
We've been on it before, we know how long it takes.
No, I guess the goal tonight or this afternoon is to run through things, from an audit perspective. If there's any questions, feel free to slow me down. Otherwise, I'll open it up for questions at the end of the presentation today. First thing I guess I'll go through is the small report, which is the management report. There's two parts to this. One is related to, as we perform the audit, there are certain things that we come across that are considered best practices. Nothing that raises to the level of a finding, but things we would like to bring up. First, the only comment that we had was related to federal reports, making sure that those get reviewed before submission. That way, if there are errors, you can correct it before it gets to the feds. And just requires extra work if you do it after the fact. So that's just one recommendation we have that's best practice. The second part of this report is our audit committee letter, which kind of goes through some high level processes and procedures that we had during the audit. We had no disagreements with management, no difficulties performing the audit. We appreciate all the help, timely responses that we get. So that makes our audit process go smooth. There was one new accounting standard that was adopted, called GASB 96, related to what's called subscription-based IT arrangements, and fancy way of saying leases, basically, for software type arrangements. So the county did have quite a few of them. So if you had an arrangement where you're doing some kind of, let's just say, data backup plan that was exceeded more than just 1 year, rolled into this new standard, we kind of treat it now as a lease where you have an asset and related liability, and it just kind of amortizes and get paid down. Nothing really changed as far as your payments, but that was something that was new to go through in FY23. FY24, there will be one new accounting standard related to compensated absences. Historically, compensated absences has just been set up on your financials for the amount that's going to get paid out upon termination or leave of employment. And now there's another piece to the puzzle that says, well, what about the piece that's been earned and is set up that they might actually use for vacation or sick? So we're gonna have to go through and look at the historical percentages of how that's been used and set up an additional liability for that. Once again, really an accounting exercise. It's not gonna cost the county anymore. It's just another number to put on the financial statement. So that's something that's new for FY 24. If you need some assistance with that, you can let us know. The other thing I'm just gonna bring up, just because we've had it hit now a couple of our auditees, is related to cyber theft. Had a couple of situations now where the bad guys, so to speak, are getting much smarter than they used to be. It's not just an email saying we're the Prince of Egypt and you're the inheritance. Now they're running their narratives through Chat GPT and other AI type software, so it is legit. The last one that just got brought to my attention was somebody that's getting paid electronically, was a landlord for a housing situation. And they basically, first they stole or got a hold of the form that they use to change bank account numbers. And so the information was put on their standard form. The narrative within the email looked absolutely legit. They paid 2 different vendors from the same fraudster for a couple of months before one of the landlord contacted and said, you haven't paid us in a couple of months. So that's just one example. There are numerous. So I guess the takeaway is, for one, is if you are paying anybody electronically and they start changing bank numbers, routing numbers, those kind of things, I think it's a good idea to follow up with a phone call. Emails are just too easy to steal right now, and they look legit. So just kind of a word of caution. We do have, people at Brady Marts that can kind of do some IT review and analysis as far as, some things you might want in place with dual authentication factors, those kind of things. But I think we're there. So it's not a matter of if, but when, I think. So it just kind of scary. So enough of that soapbox. Moving into the audit report then. The audit report starts on page 2, runs through page 5. This is an unmodified opinion on your financial statements. It's considered a good or clean opinion that the financial statements are reasonably stated according with generally accepted accounting principles. It is management's responsibility for the financial statements as well as all the footnotes within these. And then our responsibility to ensure that they are accurately stated, and that's what our opinion is stating. We do bring up within this opinion the emphasis of matter related to that subscription-based IT arrangements that got rolled in for this year. So we'll see some numbers for that. Page 6 is the first audited financial statement. This is the statement of net position. You can see the first column of numbers is the primary government. And then you have 2 columns for your component units related to the Water Resource District and the Fair Association. So those also kind of wind up as part of our audit. But as you look at the primary government, the line that you see all the way at the bottom is your net position for your equity at a full accrual level. So $82,370,543. I will point out about a third of the way from the bottom of the page, there's a line for net pension and OPEB liability, 27 million. That's making that number much less, your overall bottom number, much less than it would be related to your involvement in ND PERS. It's really, once again, an accounting exercise that it's unfunded at the state level, and you're just kind of putting your piece of the pie based off of how much you contribute on a yearly basis. Nothing that you actually owe, but it is required to be put like this, presented like this. Page 7 then is showing the changes within the current year. 3 lines to the bottom, you can see the overall change for the primary government was about a positive $11,099,741. Once again, this is full accrual, so they're subject to some changes within that net pension liability. That's an estimate, as well as some other things here that we'll go in a little bit more detail here in a second. Pages 8 and 10. These are the statements that probably are a little bit, I'll say, more useful as far as analyzing how the year went. The first column numbers there is your general fund. 2 lines to the bottom, you can see your overall fund balance. In the general fund is $16,876,463. Of that, almost all of it is available to spend. It's not earmarked or restricted for any purpose, so that would be part of your ongoing budget. The second column that you see there is your jail expansion fund. That has $12,237,480 of restricted fund balance, so that can only be used for capital projects related to that. Then you have a special revenue fund, which is a lot of your grants and expenditures, and then other governmental funds. Basically, a bunch of the other funds that don't raise the level of needing to be broken out in the financial statements at this level. So all of them, as you can see, ended with positive fund balances as of December 31st, 2023. Page 10 then shows the changes from the current year or for the current year, and 3 lines from the bottom, you can see the general fund was up $1,073,454. I guess I'll point this out. If you look, there's an issuance of leases and SPIDAs, 702,306. Once again, it's kind of like an accounting exercise. We add that number to your basically debt service inflows as well as capital outlay, the offset, but it kind of sticks out on this page. The other thing that you have a little bit unique in that jail expansion fund was you'd received some bond money in 2022, basically gave some of that back, replace that with some state revolving loan funds, but the revolving loan funds are draw as needed basis. So it's a little bit weird, I think, just to look at it on the financial statements because it looks like you spent a whole bunch of money, but really you just replaced it instead of having it on hand and you're drawing it down as needed for lower interest rate, et cetera. So that is what you're seeing in the jail expansion funds. Page 12 and 13, these are your custodial funds. So as of December 31st, 2023, you have basically another bucket of money that you receive property taxes for other entities and just haven't remitted that yet. So that's where you're seeing this. And this is would be true for all counties at year end. And then we get to the footnotes of the financial statements, which are pages 14 through 43. Typically don't go into much detail in this, so we'll kind of skip over this, but if you're looking for, let's just say debt service schedules, capital asset activity, that net pension liability information, you're going to find it in that section. For right now, let's look at the budget to actual, which is on page 44. Page 44 is the general fund budget to actual. The number you see in the bottom right corner is the number that is different from what you anticipated versus actual. You know, combination of a lot of things here. Sometimes it's grant money, spending down some of those COVID funds can help or can do this, as well as some unanticipated, interest rate rising, those kind of things that really did make a big difference. Same thing as you flip the page, page 45, which is your special revenue fund. This is quite a bit different than was anticipated as well. And a lot of times what ends up happening for special revenue funds is you get more grants and then you spend more grants. So, typically if revenues are higher, expenses are too. So that's what's going on there. Page 52. This is the start of basically the single audit section. So when you spend over $750,000 of federal awards, you're required to have a special single audit. And you can see on page 52, you had about $8.8 million. A majority of that, 2 lines to the bottom, is your state and local fiscal recovery funds. So that's basically making up most of the reason for your single audit. And then we'll go and I'll let you know how that turned out here in a second. Page 54 and 55 is your government auditing standards report. High level overview of your internal control structure here at the county, as well as your component units. We have 3 repeat findings, basically related to adjusting journal entries, which is very common, especially when there's new accounting standards to help with that. And that's both one of the findings of the county, one of the findings for the Water Resource District, as we help get those financials. And then the Water Resource District also has a separation of duties that they basically have one person handling all that. And we kind of talked to Debbie about maybe, having somebody else review and approve some of those things to help remove that finding going forward. So just one idea. 6, 57, and 58. This is the uniform guidance report, also known as a single audit. And we ended up auditing 2 programs from that CFA that we showed a couple pages ago. One is the state and local fiscal recovery funds. We tested those, and we tested the FEMA disaster funds. Both those programs, we had clean reports. So there's no, the opinion is considered a good or clean opinion. We had two findings. One of them was related to suspension and debarment, which you had the prior year. Whenever you're spending federal dollars and you're spending over $25,000 to a vendor, you're supposed to be doing some kind of suspension and debarment documentation before entering into contract with them. So if you pay somebody 50 grand, you're supposed to look on the website to make sure that they're not suspended and debarred by the federal government before entering into that. And so just making sure that that's being documented when you have federal dollars in place. And the other comment is pretty minor. There was a material charge out ticket for the FEMA grant that just didn't have any approval on it. And so, you know, as we note those things, we kind of are obligated to report those, and wasn't anything that we found that was wrong. It just didn't have the approval on it. So that is the 68 pages in a few minutes. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or circle back to anything.
I think the overall finding that you made is things are running pretty smoothly in the con.
Yeah, I think, you know, the numbers, the financials look good, as far as the audit is concerned, there's no red flags. And as far as the findings are concerned, I mean, a couple of them are pretty typical as far as us helping with adjusting journal entries. A lot of that had to do with the new standard for SPIDAs. So nothing that I would say out of the ordinary.
Questions from the commission? Wallingford, Nelson, you've been involved in this all the way along, so you know. All right, Commissioner Peach, any questions about the audit? Apparently not.
He's reading it. right now. He's probably reading it right.
Yeah, it's exciting reading. Thank you for the good report. It helps when you have it so organized for us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have assessment and correctional center expansion.
Hi, my name is Mike Johnston with Icon Architectural Group. Project architect on the youth assessment center, the expansion of the correctional center. This bid package 3 is basically for the furniture and, for example, marker boards, tackers, looking at things for the administrative offices on this project. There's 2 main areas. There's area A and area C. Area A is the youth assessment center. Area C is the administrative portion for the correctional center. Area D is a minor piece of this particular bid package, which is based on the minimum security portion of the correctional center. And then area B is the detention part of the youth assessment center. And that's kind of a minor piece of this puzzle as well. We issued documents on October 9th, advertised it for 3 straight weeks. We had a bid opening October 30th. We received 4 bids. The current low bidder is their office out of Fargo in the amount of $168,645. These documents were put together by our interior design team. Everybody received the same exact documents. We issued a couple of addendums. We had no issues using any of these. I guess our recommendation would be to use the current low bidder.
Commissioner Ross, any comments? You're involved.
No, I was involved with this thing and when I looked at interoffice bids, they were the low bidder. Everything that they provided is exactly what they needed and it's good quality. So I would make a motion to approve that low bid from the interoffice of $168,645.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Ross, questions or comments? Commissioner Peach, any comments? It was an easy package to look at. It's nice to have it putting out again.
Pretty straightforward.
All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, passed unanimously. All right, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Oh, Mr. Burkholder wants to say a few words.
Oh, no, I don't want to say a few words. I need some money.
You know,
I'll be honest. The bid package that I found put together, I did a comparison with that FFE project I was asked to do in May of 23. And while that FFE bid package has the desks, the chairs, the backboards and such, there's a lot of things it doesn't have. So what I'm presenting to you is the things that it doesn't have, that I don't want you to think that that bid package is all that we need for this building. In May of 2023, I compiled a list of FFE and found 1,031 items that I identified. Of those, 890 would be new, 142 would be reused. My initial estimate at that time was $432,000 and some change. In that bid, or in my numbers, it included numerous things which aren't in the bid package you just saw. And I'll get to that in just a bit. The bid package you just were presented with for about $119,885 for the adult section. If that is reduced from the 432, and this is all on the front page of what I gave you in red there, or in pink, that would reduce my identified FFE from 432 to 322, or about $110,000, or almost exactly what the bid package you just received. So the numbers I put together in May of 23 are very close to almost exactly what we just received in this bid package. I need more than what's in there, and I'll look at the page 2, the second page if you look. The revised FFE needed for areas C and E. E is the medical renovation, remodel that needs to be done. My original FFE would be 270 with the stuff that's duplicated and what's just approved would reduce that by $98,000. But I went through my list of things and just put them together here, things that are over $2,000 that are missing in that. And at the very bottom of this, you can see I've lumped some that IT, for example, $45,300, medical $25,500, break rooms $17,100, training room $24,550. There are no tables nor chairs in the training room in what we were just proposed. Nothing in the courtyard. It's a cement slab right there. I'm proposing to have tables and chairs up there. When you add all of that, those were $2,000, almost $130,000. All other smaller FFEs waste about $41,000. One of the things that the county received was a back to fleet grant. And what I am going to propose is that we use some of that for the recruit retention to improve some of the things that are needed in this FFE for the retention of officers, which will then save the county some dollars. So that would be, as you see that 154, if you get them through the grant, I can reduce the amount from the 171 to 154,000. Area D is the next page. And there are some big things in there that can't be without. Mattresses, almost $20,000 mattresses. They're not in my budget. They were in my FFE a year and a half ago, but we need those. Inmate property storage. We're gonna have to store property in the property room for up to 72 more inmates, as well as they're going to need property boxes in the housing areas. This goes on here, another $33,000 for IT stuff, and the total of inmate supplies of over $82,000. Total of $142,000 for Airbnb. Go back to the front page. What I point out is in yellow. I've been able to reduce from $432,000 down to $304,000. Reducing the what's in pink by over $17,000 utilizing that grant. for a grand total of $429,885, or in other words, about $3,000 under what I submitted in May of 23. I don't work the numbers of where this money comes from. And I'm not familiar with where it is or isn't in, whether it's ARPA funds or whatever. But it's funds that are needed in order to open that facility, that expansion. And I'm asking that these dollars be approved, and I don't know if they're already in the money that's budgeted. I have no idea. I don't know that. But I'm asking for $310,000. And it might be in the budget, even in a larger amount. I don't know.
Alpha, do we have, know?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I have no idea what's included in the overall project. I have no idea if it was or wasn't. There was a motion made by the commission to use any remaining funds in the ARPA dollars for the correctional center project. I believe, and I don't have that, I didn't know you were going to be here. 100 correct me if I'm wrong, Gracie, do you recall what I had on that spreadsheet I sent to you and Tom? Was it 185
Yeah, I was looking for that
or
actually.
145?
Yeah, 185.94.
Is that including,
The ARPA balance. There's also 40,000 allocated for East Central Regional Water District that. And then there was also conversations about the parking ramp and that was allocated.
so do you want to use the money for the parking ramp? Well, or do you want to use it for
Mr. Rusted?
the correctional center?
I fail to understand how a project of this magnitude, mattresses get whiffed on for a prison like that. This is an extensive list of things that even somebody that's never worked in, a jail, and even somebody that's never worked in a correctional facility would know you probably want linens and mattresses and a medical cart. There's a lot on here.
I agree, Commissioner Rusted, and that's why in May of 23, I submitted this information.
Did you submit that to Icon?
I believe so, in March of 23. The dollar amount for FFE for adults was $875,000. I submitted what I had. In September of 23, it was revised to 405,000. I believe that's what's still in their numbers. I'm not involved on that side of things, so I don't see that. All I know is I put this stuff together when asked. And that facility, that expansion can't open without these things.
The question may not be whether they're needed. The question may be, are they already included in what's been designated? Or do we have to come up with $310,000 out of our,
That exactly.
out of some other fund? I don't know if we can decide that today.
I can't decide that today. I'm just dumbfounded that all this stuff is
Yeah,
missing out of a jail expansion that we've been talking about for years. Like this stuff is basic stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm really frustrated about
It should,
it, so I
it
can't.
should have actually been part of the original. Should have been part of the original, thought process when the jail was put together.
I am going through old, Icon, it was, not include in the original included in the original RFP. And it's also, we're talking, right, about the medical exam tables and such as well. In this,
Are you
dental chair.
have to go way back to 2023, not 24 now, to find this information. And that, like I said, it was I find it in March at 875 and September at 405. I just gotta make sure that we don't lose it. And I don't know that it's there. I've been able to reduce this down to what I believe to be 310,000.
Okay.
I believe there were conversations that it did not need to be included in the RFP, but Tom was going back into emails.
Yeah.
Typically, I guess we consider linens, mattresses, those kind of things. It's really hard to bid it out to construction people that put on 25-30% overhead on things. Typically, I guess from my perspective, it was in your budget, in your numbers to begin with. That was approved for the entire project, and I know that bid package one and bid package two, construction engineers had those numbers and had a lot of those soft costs included at the end. All I'm saying is that typically, as architects, we don't bid out mattresses. You guys have vendors for doing that. Why would we want to bid those things out? So it kind of goes with other cleaning things, other just regular day usage of stuff. But.
So was it included in the total project? The costs, the soft costs were included in the total project?
We had FF&E in there for approximately, let's say, 800,000.
875 is what it originally was.
Right.
Then I 915. The revised document shows it at 405 for adult. And then I think of another 95,000.
Right. For example, we bid out all the bids. We bid out all the FF&E stuff for showers, curtains, those kind of things. But like I said, typically we don't do mattresses and linens and those kind of things. But
So there's a lot of other things in there. Medical equipment, training room chairs and all kinds of that stuff, which is part of what you have in the main bid that we voted on briefly.
right,
Why isn't the stuff you got on here partly in the furniture and all that was bought underneath bid? Or is it included some?
I guess from my perspective, it really comes down to what Brett wants to supply, what he doesn't want to supply. I guess in your numbers, you had it included. Now, the way that things work out is that we bid out. I know we did have conversations with the training room. And at that point in time, it was decided to not have it included. So we can certainly look at adding that in. But for the most part, it is included in, like, your numbers to begin.
Members of the commission, I put an extensive list together and my thought process would be is if they're doing the work to get the desks, the chairs and all this other stuff, many of these things I have equal or better contacts without a 25% upcharge. So I would.
Those costs should have been included in the project.
Commissioner Russell, I believe that they were at 875, 405. I don't know where they are today. That's why I'm coming here today. When this was presented, I don't want to falsely believe that that's all the FFE on this project.
So if they were already included, we just don't know yet because we haven't been able to research it, that the money's already might be laying around for exactly this purpose. We just have to figure that out. Right.
And then if we can figure it out, I would ask permission to start getting this stuff because there'll be lead time on all this.
Yeah, just gotta figure out where the money is. I don't know.
Is there anything I can do or anything you need from me?
We just need to know if it was part of the project. Or not. If that was included in the total cost of 38 million, whatever dollars. Is that included in there or
So
not?
we could do that. We could have a conversation with construction engineers
Yeah,
because they're the ones that put together that
I have the
budget sheet,
saved,
and it had soft costs
but
in
it
there.
might be.
Yeah, it's really a discussion with them and us.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's what needs to be done. I agree.
do that.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, but I don't want to approve, I'm not gonna approve any
No.
other dollar amounts until I see that.
And we don't need to.
Yeah.
Right.
That could probably be figured out by the next meeting in December. I would think, and that'll give you plenty of time, Brett, I would assume you need a lot of lead time to get these things, but.
Right.
We should be able to figure that out. How, who's gonna make that? Make that study of what's in the original package.
I'll contact them tomorrow.
Okay,
And Brett and I will have a meeting with them.
perfect. That makes sense.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Glad you brought it up, Brett, because we need to make sure this stuff gets done.
Thank you.
Mr. Magnuson. There you are. You're hiding back there.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I got two items today, both these zoning requests. You've heard the staff reports before, so I will keep it brief. The first one is for Samantha Dahl to rezone 13.63 acres in section 2 of Chester Township. As far as the latest developments, as you know, at the last meeting, which I was unable to attend, you guys approved the zoning ordinance amendment, which changed the daycare facilities and residential care facilities to special uses, so everything would have to be approved by the commission. So hopefully that alleviated some of the air-based concerns. That ordinance amendment did go through. So right now we're asking for approval to rezone the property from Airport Preservation District to Air Force Reserve District, which would make their dwelling a legal conforming use rather than a legal non-conforming use.
I have a question for you. At the last meeting, as you heard, we had a couple of Air Force captains here expressing some concerns. Has there been any contact with the Air Force, or have you received anything from them that said we're all okay with this switch?
No, I have not received anything from them. I sent them an email on, I believe it's in the packet on October 15th, stating that this is what we were proposing and so forth. And honestly, I haven't heard anything from them.
Questions or discussion?
I'd make a motion that we approve Samantha Dahl's rezoning application.
I'll second.
Commissioner Roth, motion, Commissioner Rusted, second. I will reiterate my concern. One of the things that we try to do as the county commission dealing with Grand Sky and with the airbase and so on is to not cause any harm to the airbase that we don't even know might be out there. And switching from the airfield preservation district to an airfield reserve district is a significant change. And I don't want to think that 2 years from now, we're going to find out that a mission that could have come here doesn't come because of some action we've taken on the county commission. Just don't get enough information to make the decision. So that's my 2 cents on it. Anybody else have comments?
I'll comment.
Pardon?
Yeah, I'd like to make a statement in favor of the rezoning. First of all, some of the arguments used on eminent domain, well, property that was being debated is for sale, so there's no eminent domain necessary. The Air Force Base can buy it off the free market and use it as they wish. I don't think we, as a county commission, should be in the business of rezoning people of their knowledge and then just turning our backs on them. I mean, in my opinion, if we don't rezone them, we better be ready to buy them up. Because it doesn't sound like the Air Force Base is wanting to, and so they've been, kind of screwed over by the system. And, it wasn't probably anybody sitting here unless someone was here in 2006, but we are in a position to make it right. And we're not Air Force Base commissioners, we're county commissioners. And I mean, most people's number one asset is their family home. And making theirs unsellable, to me, I would be able to sleep at night or look myself in the mirror. The Air Force Base is nimble enough and rich enough. If they care about it that much, they can buy it.
Yeah, and I sympathize with the people too, and I understand exactly what you're saying. But I don't think we explored enough when the Air Force said maybe there could be a special use permit granted. Mr. Ford said lenders might not work with someone under the circumstances, but we don't know that for sure. So I think we jumped into it too quickly. I hate to have them wait even the month or so that they've had to wait, but that's just, I'm just concerned long-term that we have to be careful what we do without, and the Air Force they should have jumped back into it now, I guess. So that's, they didn't do that.
Well, I
But
can
I
say,
know how slowly things move in the command structure. So,
say this much I can tell you for a fact, is, as somebody that's bought and sold an awful lot of properties, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole something that was attached to a special use permit. And I do believe the lenders would see it the same way. So that's why I think the rezoning is necessary. I agree with Mr. Ford's assertion that there are certain accesses that they just would not be granted with that permit, because likewise, if I was a mortgage lender, I would be interested in throwing out my company's money on a property that a special use permit's attached to, because that can be taken away just as easily as that can be granted. Every 2 years, there's an election where the 5 of us change hands, and where our opinion is only as good as, how long we're sitting on the board. So to me, this is a no-brainer. But I do respect your opinion on this. Very thoughtful, but I just don't agree.
all right. Anything further? Commissioner Peach, any comments?
No, I have no comments at this time.
Anybody else? Hearing no other requests for discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Nay. 4 to 1. And I would like to see it, I would like to help them out, and I just thought that even a special use permit could be made permanent somehow, at least maybe you think it could be. So I don't think we explored it enough, that's all. So anyway, vote's taken, it's done. So that's first one, second one is similar.
Yep, second one similar, applicant Robert Wilkinson to rezone 14.46 acres, also in section 2 of Chester Township. I guess the comments would be the same, as far as what's happened since the last meeting. We would be rezoning from, Airport Preservation District to Air Force Reserve District. And, take away the non-conforming status on his dwelling, with that, you have to answer questions.
Make a motion to approve that one too.
I'll
Second,
second
the
that.
last motion, second by Mr. Rusted. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Nay. 4 to 1 again.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Jeske.
Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to be here this evening. What I have in front of you is a proposal from Johnson Controls for extended warranty and PSA agreement for the 2 new chillers at the new jail construction. The 1 chiller replaces the existing train chiller that cooled the entire existing jail complex. The new chiller that went in, the second chiller that went in now will cool the admin offices, juvenile detention center, regional youth assessment center, and so on. This proposal of extended warranty comes with the attachment to a plant service agreement in order for the extended warranty to be in effect. It's open to, it opens us up to that plant service agreement. There are certain things that they come and do as a service interval to ensure the health and operating condition of those chillers. While in place, they do come with a price tag. The extended warranty itself, for a 10-year extended warranty on both chillers, comes at $32,375. And then the PSA that has to be in place for that extended warranty to be honored by Johnson Controls, then comes with a price tag of mark the page, but I lost my mark. Annually, that cost is $10,100 for that PSA for that 10-year period. In addition to that, in addition to the extended warranty contract price, we do currently have in effect a PSA, which is very basic in comparison to the coverage in the PSA that Johnson Controls is proposing on these two chillers. We do currently have a PSA in place on the old train chiller that was removed. That one was $2,925 annually. It did not have some of the comprehensive services involved in it. And just in reference to that, with having a more basic PSA in place, last year we spent $7,232.58 in non-eligible repairs towards that PSA on that chiller. And in 2023, or I should say in 2024, this year we spent $7,232. In 2023, on that chiller of non-eligible repairs for that PSA, we spent $24,471.51. So the PSA is like buying an extended warranty on your car. If you're not familiar with them, it's pay me now or pay me later. In the end, it's the request is, do you want to consider them? Their proposals on the table that are purchased after the installation, after we take ownership, after they're off of 1-year warranty.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
When you compare it to a power warranty, is it just on the powertrain, or is this kind of a thing really over everything that could happen?
So in the extended warranty coverage for that 10-year period of time, there's one item that's not covered in there in repairs that would have to come up if it broke down, if it lost its charge at Freon, we would have to buy the Freon in order to get it operational again. Otherwise, labor parts are on that regardless of the.
So what, is it your recommendation that we go with one for these?
I do lean towards using them because the cost on dry air chillers are, the cost for repairs are exorbitantly expensive. I mean, one compressor can be, if you have a compressor failure, you can spend $50,000 without Freon, without labor, without a crane, anything. So I do it, like I say, it's pay me now or pay me later. It allows us to absorb the expense annually in a PSA and upfront in the extended warranty for that period of 10 years. But you're essentially paying for one major repair in that 10-year time after it's off its first year of warranty. I will add that this particular agreement, Johnson Controls does add in the indemnification, if I use that term correctly, Ms. Wong said, and it was written into this contract, but we went through that and my sales contact on that, I reminded him of that. He actually sent me the amended contract while we were here now this evening. So but Ms. Wamstead has not had a chance to review that. It was in our contracts that we did for the FC bus upgrades on the buildings as well, which we had to get that changed and clarified as well. So it was an easy change for him, but I need to have Ms. Wamstead review that contract again and make sure that it is to her satisfaction. But if we were to do that, obviously some of the funding for the PSA is absorbed in exhausting the old train. The rest is not budgeted, and the $32,375 is not budgeted. So that money would have to be allocated for that if you wish to entertain it. And in my leanings, I do lean towards them.
That sounds like a question for Ms. Nelson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we don't have any funds in our capital improvement fund left. So it'll just have to come from cash carry forward. For cash balance,
Is that a significant risk or problem?
$40,000 approximately.
Yes, yeah, it would have to be accepted and signed within first year of ownership, which they did commission these chillers this fall, so we would have to do that within the next 9.5 months, 10 months, in order to be eligible for the contract in place. Takes effect after the 1 year.
Mr. Rusted?
Do you have any money set aside in your annual budget for like major failures that potentially these dollars could come from? It should there not be a major catastrophic failure by chance?
That's why I come here on hands and knees and ask for capital improvements monies regularly, because there's not a slush fund for me. That's Nelson has to find it, and you guys have to approve it.
When would the payment have to be made? Do you think there yet?
They would, I speculatively right now, I would expect if Ms. Wamstead reviews the new amended contract, we got a signature on them next commission meeting. I would speculatively see invoicing sometime in January.
When will it be used? When will it be put in? When the correctional center is finished?
The
For some of
The
the
chillers are installed and commissioned already.
Oh, I see.
Both of them are in place, and that's why the option of proposal is out there for us now. While they're still under 1 year warranty is when we need to make this decision. So regardless of when we make this decision, it has to be done within the 2025 parameters anyways.
Sounds
Mr. Rust?
I guess at this point, I mean, this is something that we really need to jump on because I know how expensive it can get. So I would, make a motion that, we approve the extended warranty, with the money to come out of cash carryover.
second that motion.
I could add, when we did put the new chiller onto a county office building here in 22, we did include the 10-year warranty extension and the PSA. The difference in between these two warranties, Johnson Controls has also come wise to the fact that major failures with major Freon releases are expensive, so they no longer include Freon. We do have Freon included on the cob chiller. And the only thing that's not covered on the cob chiller here is crane. And because we're on a rooftop here, regardless, there's always going to be a crane involved with them because you're dealing with the compressors are 8,000 pounds, so unloading them from a truck and placing them in place. You're gonna have a crane, you're gonna pay for that, you're gonna pay for Freon. When we have them out there, out here in town, we only pay for crane service.
So the motion is just for the extended warranty, not for the PSA.
The same thing.
No, they are two separate things.
Okay.
Yeah, the extended warranty is one thing. The PSA is a 10-year in place, has to remain in place in order for the extended warranty to remain in place.
So I modified my motion to include PSA also.
Do we have a second?
He did, Mark second.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Mr. Rust did the second. Any further questions or discussion? Any other concerns, Ms. Nelson? All right. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. That's unanimous.
I will get as long as amended contract for review and approval, and then get it for you guys for your signatures for next meeting. Or whatever you begin to sign with.
Couldn't we actually, if Ms. Wamstead, looks at that modified, contract, can't we authorize the signature now?
If you approve that.
Yeah, so you don't have to come to another meeting?
Sure.
We do have a special meeting scheduled, but
Yeah, for next Wednesday.
other than that time, but we- you know,
If you approve it pending Ms. Wamstead's approval, then it would just be there for waiting for your signature. But
Yeah.
after go in front of the meeting, then
okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I would note that the amendments are very minor. It's just some indemnity provisions we've asked that be struck and some alternative dispute resolution provisions, and otherwise substantially same as what's been presented in the packet today.
All right, so does the motion need to be modified at all, or
We can, I mean, we can modify the motion to also include the chair's signature, after, Ms. Wamstead, goes over the contract.
I don't think we need another motion for that. That's covered? All right. As long as it says. All right, thank you.
thank you.
Well, we got, the sheriff's, the sheriff first, the building that,
Sheriff's Department
Oh,
building project.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, sheriff's building project.
okay, so,
I think that,
yeah, so administrative services met just prior to this meeting and, discussed various items about the Heartland, lease. And, I will defer to, Commissioner Hagan to, she put it in the form of a motion. And we voted on it, so I'll let her talk about it.
All right,
But this board needs to approve it at this meeting, so
that vote was to recommend approval.
make a
to
motion
this
now.
meeting, yeah.
So I would like to make the formal motion to put, do I need to make them in 3 separate motions, or can I keep it in one? Okay. To have a 1 million cap for the alternates. To use 700,000 from the 2025 budget. And to put the 6 additional parking spaces into police.
Yes, can I clarify one thing? It's
Yes.
it's not just for the alternative. The 1 million, it's a cap of 1 million to include the lease. Or was that not right?
I thought I had it right.
We're close.
I rewrote it down twice.
I believe what we discussed is there's a $1 million cap on expenditures for a sheriff's office lease facility next year.
Yes.
And the request was to use $700,000 towards the purchase of alternates listed in the proposal in 2025. The remaining fund of that $1 million would be set aside for the lease rate and additional expenses accrued, right? HVAC or heating, the standard stuff. And then a cap was approved of $1 million on the alternates. Total for the project.
That included the 6 spaces or garage spaces,
The
part of the alternate.
the additional 9,000 square feet in
Yeah.
the back of the facility. Good. And I think that it was included, I don't know if we had discussed it, but the base rent or the base lease price was $519. But we had also discussed that since there was annual maintenance, lot maintenance, etc., grounds maintenance of $12,000, that would amend the annual lease to $531. It would be included in the $531 instead of part of the estimates.
Yeah.
Okay. So the annual lease rate, base annual lease rate would be $531,000.
Any more questions? Ms. Nelson? Got it? All right, any further discussion or questions of Sheriff Snyder? Or you got another comment?
Just one point of clarification that with the $1 million cap on alternates, 700,000 would be spent in 25, with the additional 300,000 paid to Heartland Acres in 26.
Yes.
Okay, any further comments, questions? Nope. You have a motion and second? Ready?
I'll second right now.
Andrew wants a second. Any further questions?
So we were just discussing that that $1 million that we were going to spend, or 700,000, was going to be the additional property taxes, utilities, and all of that. The extra cost coming out of that. What part of it?
So. I can just address this real quick, because I think I still have the notes from our meeting last week. I think what we figured was, if we use July 1st as the date, there would be $216,250 paid in lease next year. And we figured roughly about $80,000 of additional expenses to operate that facility throughout the end of the year. So we figured roughly $300,000 for the property, which would leave you the $700,000. Is kind of how we figured on that $1 million for next year. And then, of course, whatever overruns, I mean, just so everybody is clear, we're gonna spend that $1 million that you guys are capping us at. We're gonna spend that before they move in, because these are things that they need, right? So we're gonna carry that additional back, and of course, there will be some interest charges on that, because we're not gonna be paid until 26. So we will submit invoices, and to Debbie for those amounts up to 700,000, and then after that, we're gonna hold the invoices for the additional 300,000 until we get submitted for 2026. The only thing that I would say about this before we pass this motion is I did put a wide range in there for this FF&E. And after kind of seeing maybe what's happened here today with some other projects, I would think that I'm pretty thorough with this. But I would also like to think this is a pretty big project in scope, and there might be some things, because in this, we relied strictly on Andy and whoever else put this together on things he thought he would need for this department. What happens if some things come up at $1 million? I don't think that leaves us with any headroom at all. We'll come back and we're gonna beat the bush. And I think it makes me look bad, and I think it maybe, so I guess my opinion would be, because we're gonna completely furnish this thing. It's in our bid. I mean, this thing's gonna have soap dispensers on the wall, and the first round of toilet paper is gonna be in bathrooms. So there's no soft or hard cost difference. I mean, what's put in there is put in there, and I'd like to think that we're gonna make sure that everybody's happy. And so I guess what I would propose is to maybe think about that $1 million and maybe approve a higher number. And if we don't use it or we don't need it, nothing comes up.
Yeah.
Fine. I mean, we're gonna submit invoices for that. And, you know, if we need to carry some money even into 27, I think that can be negotiated if need be. But I guess that would just be where my mind goes with this, is that maybe we expend that, or maybe we say, hey, let's go to the high side of this budget. And not necessarily wanting to spend that, but that's all you're gonna get no matter what else comes up. Because one of the first things that comes to my mind that was not in here, but definitely gonna need is signage. That could be a gigantic expense. I mean, that could be 10,000, that could be 50,000. If you give us $1 million budget, we're gonna have to fit it in somewhere. He needs a sign. But that's gonna take away from what? So in my opinion, if we could maybe have a couple $100,000 more, at least initially, then we're not coming back. I mean, this thing is done and done. So this would include not only the FF&E, but any change orders or anything that could maybe come along with this. So otherwise we're coming back to the commission asking for $20,000 financially. Or, I mean, who knows? Maybe we try to work within that budget, but I just think, in my opinion, we set a little higher budget number. So maybe something to consider.
I mean, I would feel more comfortable setting a number and knowing that that's the end number, rather than potentially coming back and saying, hey, I need another $15,000, and Debbie telling you we don't have any money and we got to take it out of cash forward. I'd rather know that that money is set. And I think it was Andy who gave us the alternate range. I was looking for it. Is it 1.319 is the high end?
Yes.
I mean, I would rather have that number and know and trust that Mr. Huber is gonna commit to that number and not go over it and have a change orders like the jail has had, or how we had just talked about a $30,000 item that wasn't in a budget. So I would amend my motion to put the cap at the 1.3. If anybody would like
Talked
to
about
second it.
maybe some carry forward, not only to 26, but to
Right.
27, is really necessary.
Absolutely. I mean, we would be flexible that way. I mean, of course, there'd be some interest charges that we can negotiate at that time. And I guess this is a special project that means something to me, not just the county, and I'd like to make sure that the county and the sheriff's department gets everything they need with this project. Than trying to sell it short and having to come back or having to maybe settle for less. Because I think based on what the original, proposals maybe could have been, we came in way under that. I mean, for what they're gonna get for a facility. So I think, I mean, it's taxpayer dollars. So I don't want to speak loosely of it, but or $200,000 to set a project of this scope in motion, I don't think is that big a deal. And if we do it right now from the beginning, you're not gonna see me again. We'll be at a ribbon cutting ceremony and everybody's happy, right? So.
You're always welcome to come back and talk. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Clarification for Commissioner Hagan. In your motion, he said 1.3.
The cap and put a million.
Yeah.
So
Right.
results from there.
1.3 with the 1.3, whatever the total was, or 1.3 even.
Is that, I wrote down 1. Okay, so 1.319 is the high end, right?
Just Debbie was gonna ask you if I did.
Okay.
So which one is it?
1.319. Man, you guys are just after me today.
Was that a second, Commissioner Rusted?
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion or questions for him? All right. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed? Yeah, thanks. Now, Mr. Watson.
Evenings. I don't think I'm asking for any new money, so hopefully this, so that's.
We're skipping it out tonight.
Yeah. No, so the first item for consideration for the board is, raise grant application. Normally Tom was handling this in the past, as he's out on medical leave, so, I'm next in line and I'll try to do my best to do this. I think it's summarized well here and I guess I'll.
Yeah, I'm here to help you if you need her.
Yeah, so if I say something wrong, please chime in here. But, we'd like to reapply for the raise grant for that Merrifield Bridge, down by the country club. And if the board remembers, two counties, two cities applied for the grant back in January of this year. We did not get it. There was a debriefing with, county, city staff and the DOT folks to see where on the categories we did well and which ones we could do a little better. Good news is we're really close to the next round of the final round of consideration, I guess, so to speak, the short list for the grant. More good news, the SRF WSB team is still interested in helping us out. It's the same people. A few people have switched companies, but there's still same people involved. So, just a couple of them switched to the other company, but, it really doesn't matter, I guess. But, we're still proposing the same four-way split. And Tom told me, if I get this right, it's a zero cost proposal. And what it means is the original contract total was up to 179,000 and change. They spent 125 of it, so there's 53 left, and they figured out 53 is enough to reapply, redo the application, look at where we need to improve, make those modifications. And so the estimated cost of Grand Forks County would be approximately $13,500, which could have been spent on the first round. They just didn't spend it all. So I guess I would stand here and ask the board to consider supporting proposed amendment to the SRF as East City of East Grand Forks, the prime contractor. There is no contract for us to sign, but
to support the grant and, cost sharing it in 25%.
I would make that motion to approve that grant application for the
Second by
Memorial
Commissioner
Bridge, AKA Rolling Young.
Bridge. Billy, Anna, do you have anything to add to that, or did you summarize?
Nick did great. He doesn't need me.
All right, good.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed?
Thank you. The next item for consideration is a cost participation construction and maintenance agreement with the DOT for a new bridge that will hopefully be built on County Way 2, just north of US 2, a mile and a half over the Turtle River. It's an 80-20 cost share split. We have the DOT, the project is estimated, construction contract is estimated 2.7 million. We'll know in a month. Exact costs and who the contractor is. Our local share would be is estimated at $522,000, of which we are budgeted for. And with that, I would ask for approval on that with chairman's signature and state's attorney's signature.
Move approval on the budgeted for money that Nick was requesting with the state's attorney and chair signature.
Second.
Mr. Rusted, Mr. Hagan. Yeah, the key there is budgeted for.
Yeah, I like how you pointed that out.
It'll work nicely.
Magic words.
Which is.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. That is all I have. And it looks like we might get some rust off our plows tomorrow. I don't think it'll amount to much, but.
You just broke your personal record on quickest time at the podium too.
Yes.
Wait, the date for you.
sure there's nothing else you want to talk?
Bobby was about to leave.
Oh, yeah.
We'll save it for next meeting. Thank you.
Next item is the county administrator, and of course, Mr. Ford is on leave. Anybody on anything?
Nope.
Okay. Who wants it? You have a contract for defense services to talk about?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. In your packet for today's meeting is the mental health defense services contract. This is between the county and the Schumann Law Firm. Ms. Schumann and her law firm had this contract for the second half of 2024 and for a number of years in the past as well. The contract is substantially the same as prior years. The one exception is the cost. In 2024, she was compensated $4,400 a month, and she is requesting an increase to $5,000 a month. Her and I have discussed this. We've also taken a look at the caseload numbers in this particular caseload type, and I would support her recommended increase due to the increase in cases being filed in relation to this contract. The best news of all is that we can absorb the cost of this increase in our budget. So I would ask for a motion to approve this contract.
All right. Approval. Mr. Hagan. Motion. Second or vice versa?
Vice versa.
If it's,
Oh, we're just gonna.
I'll let him have it.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, committee reports. Mr. Hagan.
The only thing that I had in the last couple weeks was a library board meeting, and we as a committee or as a board are coming up with ways to evaluate the library director going forward. So.
Member Rustin.
I haven't had anything beyond our administrative services that we had earlier today. I just, positive note, my final MPO meeting this tomorrow. So my term is up, so somebody else is gonna get to be the lucky one.
So what does the term limit on that?
2 years.
And can you be reappointed?
Oh, yes. you
Oh,
can.
no, no.
Been there, done that.
That's not
Been there,
teamwork.
done that.
That's okay.
I will lobby the legislator to make sure that's not possible.
All right. Good for Ron.
Lobby a
Okay, this morning we had a meeting out at the construction site for the jail and youth assessment center. And I'm just telling the commission about this, but there was a change order reference to the staff position in the correctional center that had to be modified and changed because of view and not being able to see what you're supposed to see within that facility. And actually, I'll just read it. It demo 2 rows of CMU on the east side of the staff post. Build a chip pony wall to relocate the electrical devices that were in the east wall of the staff post. Add a solid surface wall cap to CMU and new pony walls. Add additional glass for partition posts to the east elevation. Now, the total cost of that, and the reason I'm telling you guys about it, because it wasn't part of the plan, it comes out of owner contingency. And that amount was $8,829. However, we made some adjustments in the budget where we had $522.64 that was in another line item. And so that $522.64 comes off the $8,829. So it's $8,306.36. So it still leaves us a balance within the owner contingency, but I am just advising the commission of that. So
We don't need a motion on that. Yeah, thank you. I don't think, Commissioner Peach, are you there? I didn't give you that much, you know? Yes, so, all right. And I have nothing further for committee reports myself. So then, unfinished new business. Ms. Nelson, at the EDA environmental narrative,
Yeah, I got
is
that
it
email.
informational?
No, I got that email from Roland Brown. And he said the EDA grant for the city of Grand Forks, they need signature on the last page of that environmental narrative, that he asked me to sign it. And then give the minutes giving me the authority to sign it, which I don't have, so.
Oh.
I need a motion for the chair to sign it. You would be able to sign it.
So,
yeah, second.
all right. I'm not sure who said what.
Moved
And this is Roster, Commissioner Hagan, second.
He moved
All right. And that's to have chair sign it or yourself?
the chair.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
and then there was one other thing, wasn't there, under unfinished business about December 17th?
I already took care of that at the beginning of the.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you though.
So one other thing that I would like to say is this was supposed to be Commissioner Engen's last day on the commission. But I want to thank you for your years of service to this commission. I think your diligence and things that you've accomplished while you were here are something that the rest of us would hope to accomplish ourselves, but you did a really, really good job, and you will be missed.
Completely concur. I've learned a lot from you. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I will miss you.
What I like about the commission the last 9 years, even when there have been changes, is we come to reasoned decisions, usually by consensus, but if someone votes a different way, fine, it's an agreement to disagree. And I hope it stays that way. I assume that it will, but that's what makes it easy to work together.
Okay, anyway, thank you.
Yes.
for hearing it. Thank you, Commissioner. And one other thing, I would like to say thank you to Debbie Nelson, our auditor. I mean, her diligence during this election and the things that she's had to do are something that I have never, ever seen anybody do
Yeah.
like she has done it. I mean, you handled that election in such a great way. And even with other things that you were faced with, you were able to delegate or do whatever you had to do to get it done. And I guess as big as this election was, I've never seen anything that has moved as smooth as what you have done.
Thank you very much.
Well, and added to that, you lost, Ursula, who did, and you picked up that job, and now you finally filled that slot, so maybe things will slow down a little bit for you.
Yeah.
But thanks, my thanks too.
And I think the sheriff has something.
I think Chairman Engen,
Oh,
just wanted to quickly address, you as, the commissioner portfolio holder for the sheriff's office. For the last 6 years, I obviously came in here in 2019 and you were assigned our portfolio. And you really made it easy for me. You're easy to work with, like the others have addressed, your conversations were easy. And, you helped me walk through several different things. You have helped the sheriff's office accomplish things that I didn't think would be possible in 6 years. Thought it'd take more like 15, but, you've definitely put us in the right direction. And I know it might be a small token of our appreciation, but if you wouldn't mind coming around the bench, I'm gonna make them stand up here and, give you a little, certificate here.
Got photos over there for him?
Yeah, David's taken.
I'm gonna address the commission, so I'm not gonna face
Oh,
that way.
okay.
But,
Yeah.
so what this is, a certificate of appreciation. It says, Commissioner David, presented to Commissioner Dave Engen. Thank you for your service to the County of Grand Forks and your leadership and guidance working with Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Schneider over the last 6 years. It's been a pleasure working with you to accomplish many significant projects for the county and the Sheriff's Office. We wish you nothing but the best in the future. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it, Dave.
Dave?
And then, just some small token, we'd like to, present you with one of our commemorative badges from the Sheriff's Office. You've done a lot of work for us and I feel this is well deserved. So, don't do crossing guard with it. First Canadian Insurance Deputy. And don't sell this on any shirt, but we'd like to present with one of our patches as well. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We didn't bring anything, I'm really sorry. Didn't bring any. We brought you some jerky. I got a mint.
Oh, thanks. The latest meeting longer, but thanks for that, Ollie.
We still got one.
Okay, last time was the correspondence from the 4-H. I was planning to present the 4-H, annual 4-H awards on Sunday. Diane lined that up. They'd like to have a commissioner do it if we can. And it turned out I couldn't get back from the South Dakota wedding in time to do it, so they held it without us. But going into next year, think about somebody on the commission attending that. Diane used to do it, Diane Knopf. And the kids really appreciate it. It's the county pays attention. So I tried to do it this year and couldn't get it done. So anyway, I guess we
Kimberly's turn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I want to make sure they got.
Does that mean the
Yeah.